All right, guys, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. First off, welcome if you are new for the third day now. I know there's a lot of new people in here today. I know there's a lot of new people in general. Oof, geez, my ear just popped. But I know yesterday was a big day for a lot of people to join, things like that. So welcome. It is Lotto Friday, so we are a little bit more lax today. It's been an amazing week so far, absolutely killer past 2 weeks. So definitely, the stream's a little bit shorter today on the live pre-market. I'll be trading in the morning, and then I'll be in and out in the afternoon as well on Fridays, but no reason to overtrade if the action isn't there today. I do want to talk about the current setup that we have going on, but what I wanted to mention is that this is the part of the morning during the week where I'm going to go over my watch list and setups for the day and things that I'm looking at and focused on. We'll talk about my plan, any swings, stuff like that, and we'll normally start right at 9 o'clock or around 8:55. So we'll get a good 25 minutes of streaming in. Obviously, Lotto Friday, a little bit shorter. Try to relax a little bit on Fridays, guys. But anyway, so let's talk about the current overall market. Now, yesterday, guys, we were looking at the hourly chart on SPY here. We did break out over that key resistance in the 416.5, 417 area, which was a major level to take out. If we look at the daily, guys, it'll be a little bit misleading because we actually touched this 420 area in futures trading on Monday. So it was the holiday. I think that level is going to come into play on ESF. Personally, futures market, if you're not familiar, totally has an impact on trading. Those key levels on SPY futures and obviously NASDAQ futures are critical to the levels that we see intraday. So keep an eye out, guys. That 420 resistance did come into play here on SPY in futures trading. So if we do see that level come into play today, keep that on watch. Looking at the hourly, this is a very key level to defend here, guys. Obviously, as you can tell, the price action on SPY has been pretty clean over 412. 412.50 is a big level to defend in terms of support because it was a very key resistance. When we broke down on Tuesday, right, and obviously on Wednesday, and then obviously yesterday in the morning, we flushed down to that 406.91 level again and then bounced, forming a double bottom right on the hourly time frame. Really what we want to focus on here is, do we make higher highs on SPY, or higher lows on SPY, right? So if you look here, right, obviously on SPY, this was a major area of resistance at the 412.5 area. And then once we broke out over it, right, we saw this clean melt up through 417. So what we want to see here, right, is we want to see SPY form a base at the 412 area, 412.50. That's been the key resistance, and then bounce off that level and move back towards the 417 area. So what I'm going to be watching today off open is, do we see this dip get soaked at 412.50, or, right, do we create, obviously we turn this, what should be obviously resistance, turning into support, or do we turn that area that was resistance back into resistance again and confirm below? So watch that first hourly candle that we formed. Keep an eye on the first couple 15-minute candles. Personally, we flushed down a lot in pre-market. Jobs report seemed pretty neutral to me, not too hot. Obviously, not cold enough where it's going to cause panic, but obviously it gives the Fed some leeway, and the jobs number is super important, right? Remember, things are relatively spready. For example, Chewy right now has like a 75-cent spread. So I am watching a few different names. My top watch off the open, if we can see SPY hold that 412.50 area, would be Lulu. This one has been very, very resilient so far in pre-market. It has not given up a lot. And so what I'm going to be focused on, and again, I'm using the hourly here because this one doesn't trade a ton of volume. Obviously, it's, a little bit lesser trade in terms of volume-wise. But definitely going to be focused on, okay, do we see this 300 level, which was a major resistance yesterday, turn into support? If we get a dip to the 300 level on Lulu with the good earnings and with the fact that I would think that would coincide with SPY holding on to 412.50, then I'm going to be looking to go long on some Lotto calls. I would look towards the 305 or 310 calls, considering that this did touch 321. However, it was a bigger wick. This is a similar setup. Kind of reminds me of NVIDIA, right? It was like green, red, came back. NVIDIA obviously flushed a little bit more. And, equally as good earnings, I think, honestly. But really what I'm going to be looking for here is do we form a base at that 300 level? Because if we do, I like the lotto calls off that level. Just a reminder, it is Lotto Friday. These are high-risk trades. This is something for me that's like, I'm risking some of my profits from the week, not going, heavy in a position or anything like that. So, that's something to remember. If you wanted to play this as a high-confidence setup, if I was trading it, I would probably look towards next week or the week after in terms of the calls that I would be looking at rather than playing the dailies. I'm okay with, buying 1 or 2 contracts here on the challenge account. I'll be doing the Lotto Friday on my challenge account, which is currently at 41,000 from 10,000. So I'll probably be using, $500 to $1,000 or like $500 per position, basically. Try to keep it at, under 1% of my account. So try to keep it the lottos at like maximum 500. And obviously I do usually keep a max daily loss of like no more than 2%. So on Lotto Fridays. Now, another thing that I am going to be looking at very closely, and the most important chart to probably pay attention to today is Apple. It is down in pre-market, and it's going to be really important that we hold this area of support at 147. If Apple gives up 147, it can definitely get pretty nasty below this level, right? So definitely on watch for downside under 147 on Apple for the puts trade. This is a pretty big gap to fill to the downside. I don't know if we're going to fill that gap to the downside, but if we do see heavy pressure today, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me in this market. But look for that 147 level to come into play here. Again, flushing to support in pre-market. Did the same thing yesterday. Look what happened, right? So keep an eye on this. If Apple does break that support on a 15-minute or 30-minute candle confirmation below, I'd be looking at the 15-minute off open. There is a possibility that we see a move down, but just keep in mind we have seen some pretty big wicks down to that level as well. So it can be a deceiving level of price action. Right? It's like broken below it, and then it confirms, and the candle closes over. So really, in my opinion, I'd wait for an hourly close under. If the move happens too fast, so be it. Like I said, I'm not trying to force things today. That's the biggest thing. Again, stronger resistance at 150. It did break over yesterday, but obviously it's given that back this morning. The big news of the day is Tesla. Obviously, Elon saying apparently that they're going to have to cut 10% of their workforce. Kind of makes sense. I kind of figure that's why he did you have to be in the office 40 hours a week. There's no way Tesla can fit that many people or accommodate that many workers. So, I'm not surprised by it, but, also it's, I wouldn't, I've seen a lot of people saying like the email is there, it's not, so 730 level key on Tesla. If it cannot hold that level, again, flushing to support, right? Most of these charts are going to look the same, guys. Big level that I'm paying attention to on Netflix. I want to cover this quickly. So just to recap, yesterday on our Netflix swing, I did scale 30% of my June 17 calls. I took profits at that 204, 205 level on 30% of the position. We closed over 205 on the daily. So here's where we're at with the Netflix swing. It needs to make a decision today, right? This is probably the prettiest chart on the entire market right now, in my opinion, right? And it came and closed above that key resistance at 205, right? That's huge. It did touch 207 after hours. This has room, in my opinion, to 213. So that is the move that I'm currently looking for, guys, on Netflix, right? That's why I'm still in a good portion of the swing. Yes, we are flushing down below 205 in pre-market right now. So have to keep it on watch, right? What we don't want, turn a winning swing into a losing one. However, right, you also have to remember there's always the possibility of a flush down and then they bring it back up and still close it over 205 on the daily, right? Which is not something, I wouldn't be surprised, right? But that's where it comes into play, reading the overall market sentiment, etc. Again, it's more thinly traded in pre-market. So breaking the key level, while it is happening, right, it's just on such thin volume, it's hard to really have, true confirmation. So, right, for example, right now it's a $1.20 spread, right? So the spread right now on Netflix is 201.80 bid, 203 ask, right? So this could easily get back above 205 right at the open, and then we never see below 205, the rest of the next 2 weeks. But in my opinion, this is why it's always important to lock profits. That's why I locked some yesterday. And again, you always want to protect downside. That is what trading is about. We were up 40% yesterday, so I did lock some in. Again, big levels here are really, really important. 202 level, to hold this level at 202 is very important, right? Because if we can hold that level, then we can see a move back to 204 and then 205. That can happen relatively quickly. Relative strength was nuts here yesterday. It felt like a totally different market to me yesterday. It felt like with the way CRM was moving, I haven't felt options contracts move like that in a very long time, guys. I thought that we definitely were set up for a pretty big move, and I don't think that is out of question yet. Again, these pre-market flushes have traditionally been bought, but for me, it's not something where I'm going to go, okay, well, these pre-market flushes have been bullish, like let me go, all in on. No, that's not how I trade, right? Like for me, like notice yesterday, patience was key. I took that trade on Chewy. Chewy obviously developed, added into it, right? And then that became an even bigger trade. And that was, a $5,000 trade on a, $36,000 account at the time, right? So it's really important. Just patience, wait for your best setup. Don't try to trade everything is what I try to do. And really stick to what you know and what you're good at. So that's going to be what I'm really focused on. I know a lot of people probably care about the Netflix analysis. So that's where I'm at with Netflix, guys. Definitely need to watch things off the open. I'll be covering it all on Live Voice. Obviously, if I exit or scale any or add into a position or anything like that, right, then I'll obviously tweet and be on Voice about it. Now, the key, if we can break over this 205 level again, I do like the Lotto upside calls. I don't want to short something with that much relative strength like it had yesterday unless we really see the tape flip. But again, if we get over 205, I definitely think we could see that 213 level. So I like the 210 lottos on Netflix. Definitely one of my top watches. Other names that I will have on watch today for a possible downside move. Yeah, Chewy support is being bought pretty well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Chewy make a bigger move up today. Remember, guys, a lot of what you're seeing right now is retests, right? We talked about it, SPY's retesting a big level at 412.50. If we give up 412.50, that's where problems start, right? Because that means we're turning what was resistance back into resistance again. As of right now, we just hadn't retested 412.50 after that insane melt up yesterday. So we probably needed to, right? You need to retest in order to go higher, right? Now, Chewy, really important. This 28 level needs to hold on the daily, right? We look at Chewy. This has room to 32. Good Lord, I haven't cleared my levels on this thing in a while. It's been a while since I traded Chewy. I was trading Chewy, I remember, at like 1-something, like 100 plus. Insane to think about. But massive daily volume, guys. Look at that daily volume on Chewy. That's insane, right? And what do we know? Volume comes before price, right? So, guys, I really do like Chewy possible dips into that 28 area today, guys. Definitely a higher confidence watch for me. This has room to 33 on the daily. That's why I took the Lotto 33 calls overnight. I thought there's a decent shot we could see that move, and there still is a decent shot if we hold that 28 level, in my opinion. If we can hold that 28 level, right, on Chewy, which is, as you can see, was a pretty major resistance in this 28.3 spot on the daily, we have a pretty good chance, in my opinion, to test that 33 level, whether it's, today, this week. This reminds me a lot of Roblox, right? Roblox first day, lot of consolidation, right? Like, move up, consolidate. But look at that daily volume, guys. Absolutely insane. If we look at the weekly volume, right? Massive weekly volume. Relative volume on the weekly, huge, right? This looks really good. Possible swing as well into next week on dips. But, in my opinion, guys, I really like this if it can hold this 28.3, 28.2 area, right? Need to hold this level on Chewy. Other names that I am going to be watching. As far as downside goes, TGT is one of them. TGT, definitely a name that I'm going to be watching for possible downside here. Again, versus this 161 level, going to be watching that closely. So, guys, remember that this market has been dictated upon names that are either rising the tide or bringing it down, right? And in this case, Tesla's been bringing us down. So we need to watch Tesla. If Tesla shits the bed, there's a good chance the market's going to follow, right? And pardon my language, but it's the truth, right? Like Microsoft yesterday was very, very suspect in the beginning, and then we saw Microsoft rebound, and what happened? The market ripped, right? So we really need to watch Tesla at that 730 spot. Really important. Would like to see that dip be bought at open for further continuation bias on the market itself, right? So that is my plan for open, guys. Very relaxed, patient, let the trade come, and then go from there, right? That's my plan. I'm going to hop on the Discord live voice. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoyed your first pre-market live. This is what a Lotto Friday live looks like. During the week, the Lotto Friday live will be a little bit more in depth. We'll cover a lot more economic issues, things like that, and then go into like the charts themselves. And again, those will start between 8:55 and 9 a.m. and then they'll go till right now 9:25. So I will see you guys on the Discord live voice. If you are having trouble finding the live voice trading, there's a video on Patreon about how to access it, and you can just scroll down to the bottom of the Discord. It says Man's Live Voice. It'll have a little speaker next to it. Click on that, hit join the voice channel. That'll allow you to listen to me and what I'm talking about during the morning and things like that. So very excited to continue the month of June. Yesterday was absolutely nuts, and I'm sure that we are going to kill it today. The biggest thing is, and I said this yesterday, and I'll end with it today, do not try to do too much in this market. It is the biggest thing, is not trying to do too much. There's so many people trying to do too much in this market. When you relax, right? I always use the baseball reference because I played baseball, but when you relax and let the pitch come to you, right? That's when you hit the home runs, not when you're trying to hit home runs, right? So that's my plan for today, guys. I will see you guys on the Discord live voice, and I will see you guys on the pre-market live and Sunday scan this weekend. Peace.